In the first 4 months of the fiscal year, that is the period between July 1 and the end of October, Kenya has raised 361.8 billion shillings from a number of international lenders. The biggest loan amongst the 20 or so loans that they've signed off but have not yet started disbursing has come from the Trade and Development Bank, formerly known as PTA Bank. It's a 77 billion shilling loan that is meant to pay off investors who had lent Kenya a similar amount in 2015 in a syndicated loan. And out of this 77 billion, they've already received 10 billion because some people are paid at the end of October. The rest will be paid progressively up to the end of April 2018. This particular loan is the one that can be deemed expensive. The rest are fairly concessionary. It all comes from the fact that we are borrowing at a time when the political risk in the country was very high. And as such, the lenders tend to load a premium on the debt. The duration of the loan is also a factor because it's a syndicated loan that will be paid off in 8 years, which is fairly a long period for a syndicated loan. And normally they are paid off in 2 or 3 years at most. So the rate at which we are paying is 6.7 percentage points above the prevailing Libor rate, which is pretty high considering the average loan that we've been taking in the last 2 or 3 years has been at around 5.2% above Libor. The thing with these loans to note is that most of them are yet to be disbursed, and so they've just been signed off, and they are meant for development projects in the water, energy and education sectors. And so it ties in with the budget proposal where they had said they would be looking to the international markets for development financing. What we do not know is when we will begin drawing down the loans. As you know, the government sometimes is slow in absorbing projects, and so some of them may even roll into the next fiscal year. When you are looking at debt, you need to look at it in 2 ways. The absolute debt amount may not be a bad thing per se, if the money is going towards projects that will generate income for the country going forward. Some of these projects that we are carrying on, the kinds of LAPSET, SGR, the roads projects, they do require a lot of capital, which we may not be able to raise locally, so we will have to borrow in order to finance them. The key to borrowing is to make sure you are not putting that money into recurrent expenditure. It has to be put in projects that generate income, and it's also got to be looked at as a factor of GDP, where it's not bad if it's growing at a fairly similar pace as GDP. Currently, based on the metric you use, debt to GDP is about 55%. Could be 49% to 55% of GDP based on the kind of metric you use. It's still sustainable by the numbers. The question is, when we borrow in the current fiscal year, maybe to complete the second phase of the SGR and the roads that we have planned, are we going to go up to the 74% threshold? So the government says that they'll borrow wisely, they will borrow prudently. There have been concerns from the likes of the World Bank that we do need to look at the growth of the debt, and it all depends again on whether our economy grows and produces enough revenue to service this.